It happened so fast, and yet every detail is burned into my memory like a scar. I was standing on the pavement outside my parents' house, holding my daughter's tiny hand, thinking we were just there for a tense conversation, not a public execution of my dignity. My father's hand came out of nowhere. A slap so hard it made my ears ring, made the world spin. I staggered back, blinking in disbelief, the sting spreading like fire across my cheek. My mother was yelling, her face twisted in rage, screaming words I couldn't fully register, something about shame, betrayal, selfishness. My daughter gasped that sound. It shattered me. She tugged at my shirt, eyes wide, lips trembling, trying to make sense of what was happening. But she was too young to understand cruelty dressed up as family. The neighbors started coming out, doors opened, curtains twitched, phones were raised, but no one stepped in. Nobody said a word. They watched as my parents, the very people who were supposed to protect me, broke me down like I was nothing. I kept looking around, hoping someone would pull me out, tell me this was a nightmare. But all I saw were faces either entertained or indifferent. Fariha was standing there too, my younger sister, arms crossed and a smirk on her face like she was enjoying every second. She didn't say a word to stop it. Not even when my daughter cried and begged them to stop hitting me. The reason for their anger: I had refused to pay Fariha's rent that month. After years of funding her lazy lifestyle, I had finally said no. And this was their reaction, not a conversation, not a question, just violence and humiliation. All because I wouldn't keep feeding their favorite child's entitlement while I, a single mother, struggled to buy groceries. My daughter was shaking, and I knew something had cracked inside her that day. The image of her mother being hit, insulted, reduced to tears, it would stay with her, just like it stayed with me. The betrayal cut deeper than anything else. Not just because of the slap, not just because of the screaming, but because in that moment I realized they always made it seem like I was the strong one, the dependable one, the one who didn't need attention or love because I had it all together. That's how they excused giving Fariha everything, every ounce of patience, praise, protection, while I was left to carry the burdens no one wanted. Even as children, Fariha could break a vase and I'd be the one punished. If she failed a test, they'd ask what I did to distract her. If she wanted something, they'd look at me, not her, to make it happen. It became normal, routine. I stopped expecting fairness. I started believing that maybe, just maybe, this was love. Conditional, transactional, one-sided. When we got older, things only got worse. I was expected to work, help with bills, take care of household responsibilities, and still make space for Fariha's endless drama. She dropped out of university twice. Both times, I covered her tuition and helped her get into new programs. She never stuck with anything for long. Jobs came and went, relationships collapsed, but each time she fell, my parents would rush to blame the world, never her. And each time they needed money to clean up her messes, they'd call me. They always knew I'd answer. That was my weakness. I still wanted them to be proud of me. I still wanted to matter to them, the way she did. I thought that if I kept helping, if I kept sacrificing, one day they'd say, "You're the one we're proud of." But they never did. Fariha was always the golden child, no matter how much she lied, manipulated, or failed. I remember once she crashed a car. I had helped her buy a car she wasn't even supposed to drive that day, and instead of anger, they showered her with sympathy, blaming the road, the weather, even fate. When I hesitated to help replace it, they accused me of jealousy. That was the pattern. She made a mistake. I paid the price, literally and emotionally. Even when I became a mother, they didn't stop. In fact, their expectations grew. They expected me to provide for Fariha, as if I had no responsibilities of my own, as if my daughter didn't deserve what I was giving to someone else. Every time I tried to draw a boundary, they called me heartless. Every time I said no, they turned it into a guilt trip. For years, I lived with this manipulation disguised as family loyalty, believing that enduring it was the price of love. But inside, resentment was growing quietly, steadily, like a fire waiting for a spark after that day outside their house after the slap. The shouting, the shame I didn't return home the same person. Something in me had broken, yes, but something else had also awakened. I realized I had spent my entire life trying to earn a place in a family that never saw me as more than a resource, a safety net, a silent servant. That moment of public humiliation didn't just scar me, it forced me to see them for who they really were. And I knew I couldn't allow them to ever have that kind of power over me again. So I vanished. I packed my bags, took my daughter, and moved to another city without telling anyone. No calls, no updates, just silence. But the silence wasn't empty. It was calculated. It was the space I needed to start building something they didn't expect a plan. A way to take back the pieces of me they had scattered over years of guilt, fear, and obligation. I started with small steps. I contacted a lawyer and began digging through old paperwork, property records, financial transfers, anything I had signed without reading, anything that had my name on it. I found more than I bargained for. My name was on a piece of family land, something I didn't even know I owned transferred quietly years ago under the pretense of tax benefits. I was stunned. They had put legal ownership in my name just to avoid financial scrutiny, never intending to tell me. But that technicality gave me power, real legal power. At the same time, I started documenting everything. I pulled bank records showing how much money I had funneled to them and to Fariha over the years. I recorded voice notes of phone calls where they pressured me, manipulated me. I screenshotted texts, saved receipts, all of it. Every piece was like fuel for the fire I was quietly preparing to set. I even learned that the rent I had been paying for Fariha wasn't being used for rent at all. She had been subletting her apartment and keeping the difference while pretending she was broke. That discovery shook me to my core. Not just the betrayal, but the smugness it must have taken to lie to me with such ease, to know I'd keep paying simply because I was raised to feel responsible for her. That's when I stopped mourning and started plotting. They thought I would stay quiet forever, that I'd keep playing the role they wrote for me. But they forgot the one thing more powerful than obedience is clarity. When everything was finally in place, I didn't rush. I waited, I watched, I made sure every legal thread was tight, every document in order. Then, I began pulling the strings one by one. First came the eviction notice addressed to Fariha, served to the very apartment I had unknowingly been the legal guarantor of. She had 7 days to vacate. At first, she laughed. She thought it was a prank. Then came the panic. She called me 3 times in a single day. She messaged me crying, begging, threatening. I didn't respond to a single one. She even had the audacity to send our parents to my new address, which they didn't realize I had already changed legally and put under strict privacy protections. They had no idea where I lived now. I was a ghost to them, but I wasn't done. I filed an official complaint with the bank regarding the loans they had taken in my name using forged authorization letters. My lawyer submitted evidence, including documents I never signed, with handwriting mismatches and false signatures. An internal investigation was launched, and their accounts were immediately frozen. I knew that would hit hard. No more secret savings, no more slush funds, no more comfort. While they scrambled trying to fix it, thinking maybe they could guilt me into dropping the case, I dropped something else, a public post, a detailed account of everything, the years of emotional abuse, the financial manipulation, the beating in front of my daughter. I didn't name them directly, I didn't need to. The people who knew us knew the truth, the neighbors, the extended family, the friends who once sided with them blindly. They saw the video. They read the receipts, the court documents. The truth was louder than any lie they had ever told about me. And for the first time, they were the ones being judged, being shamed, being whispered about. Fariha's landlord, the real one, refused to renew her contract after seeing the court notice. She had to move back into our parents' house, a full-grown adult with no income, no boyfriend left, and no one to cover for her anymore. My parents tried to reach out, this time with a different tone, pleading, claiming they didn't know it had gone that far. But I was done with their selective memory, their crocodile tears, their last-minute attempts to repaint themselves as victims. I didn't need revenge through violence or chaos. I took away the thing they valued most. Control. Looking back now, I realize that my story isn't just about revenge, it's about reclaiming my identity, piece by piece. After years of being told I didn't matter unless I was giving, sacrificing, staying quiet. I grew up thinking love meant obedience, that being a good daughter meant saying yes even when it destroyed me. but all I ever was to them was convenient, reliable, useful, and the moment I stopped being those things, they showed me exactly how little I meant to them. But the truth is, they did me a favor that day when they hit me in front of my daughter. They exposed themselves. They gave me the final push I needed to wake up from a lifetime of emotional slavery. They thought they were breaking me, but what they really did was set me free. I didn't get justice in the way movies show it, no dramatic courtroom speech, no grand confessions. I got it through cold facts, quiet strength, and relentless truth. I got it by standing up, not just for myself, but for the little girl who looked up at me, terrified, and needed to see her mother fight back. Today, I live with my head held high, surrounded by peace, not pain. I am no longer someone's emotional punching bag. I'm no longer the family scapegoat. I'm just me, a mother, a provider, a survivor, and if you're someone who's been treated like you don't matter, let this be your reminder: you're allowed to say no. You're allowed to walk away, and you are absolutely allowed to rise, because sometimes the greatest revenge is healing without them.